A cup of rehydrated ale slams onto one of the tables in the canteen. Laughter and joyous conversation from 3 Marines fills the room, reminiscing their favorite memories in battles past. Connor Vostin, a medium-built man, sharp and lethal, describes a gory scene escaping his way out, an outpost crawling with hostiles shooting his way out. Building to the part of the story he loves telling most, Connor raises his voice in excitement. "I cocked my shotgun, bracing it against my shoulder, and blew a hole in the bastard's chest." The other 2 Marines start to chuckle. After a moment, they slowly come to a tense silence, as footsteps can be heard approaching. The Marines stand up with haste and come to a steadfast attention, for if they didn't, their captain would scold them for insubordination. Bradley Grimms enters the room, or Scar as others like to call him. Scar refers to the hardened gash across his forehead, a symbol of heroism known throughout the Corps. "Story time again, is it, Connor?" His brow furrowing. "Have you inspected the weapons in the armory as per your duties?" "Yes, sir," Connor replies confidently. "And attended to requisition orders from MSD," Bradley added. MSD being the Maintenance and Salvage Depot. Connor holds up a data pad. "Got it right here. Was on my way to deliver it, but had to stop for a bite to eat. Hard to work on an empty stomach," Connor says with a humorous tone. Bradley nods in agreement, then turns his head to the other 2 Marines waiting patiently. "What about you 2? Are you finished?" Thomas acknowledges. "Power cells are recharging. HUD displays in the Advocates are functioning appropriately. The ship, however, needs some repair. Our radar must have been hit by some debris. It's glitchy, but it'll get us home." "Glitchy?" Sarah states with concern, exhaling deeply. "That should be fixed. Aren't you supposed to be an engineer or something?" she says with a mocking undertone. "We don't have the parts to fix it. I had to MacGyver the connections," Tomas retorts. "You question my work." Complacency in his voice. He was the top graduate of his electrical engineering division after all. Bradley barks at the 2 abruptly. "Enough bitching! Whew! Dismissed!" Sarah's face, filled once with laughter, quickly fades to remorse when Bradley's orders are heard. "Go clean the latrine!" Sarah storms off, her stomping echoes through the canteen and nearby hallways. At ease, Vosin, Bradley exits the canteen. The door hisses open before he exits, heading towards the bridge. Walking down the dimly lit corridors with partially exposed ceiling paneling, Bradley hears distant grunting and clanging of metal. He turns the corner leading to a door with a sign overtop the doorway, MSD. Upon entering the depot, sparks and shouting can be heard at the workbench. A man of tremendous size welds a plasma cutter standing behind a pile of salvaged scrap. Flashes of light blind the captain's vision. Shielding his eyes with his hand, he overhears the large, menacing figure speak sternly. "If you won't come off, I'll make you come off." The sound of gas hissing through a tube, followed by the ignition and liquefying of metal, as the plasma cutter dissolves a rusted, battered chassis gripped in the vise of the bench. Molten metal falls to the floor, striking the ground, shooting sparks in every direction. After a moment, the plasma cutter shuts off and the man turns around. "Captain," the man says sternly again. Bradley approaches. "Seems like you're enjoying yourself, George," he says playfully. George was a mountain of a man, a brute and perfect fit for rehabilitating the heavy mechanical components of the ship and equipment. "My only enjoyment from this is watching it burn," referring to the now ruined chassis on the bench. Turning their heads, ranks of mechs are locked firm in their holding frames. "How are the Advocates?" Bradley asks. "Either than an optical sensor on my rig being damaged, all 4 rigs are predisposed," George says firmly. Advocates are large, pilotable exoskeletons towering 6 meters in height. Equipped with a state-of-the-art automated intelligence chip to autopilot the primary systems, protect the pilot, and actively engage hostile targets. Advocates are designed to assist in turning the tides of battle, for their size is formidable, and weapon systems are lethal, only given to those with loyal and dedicated service. The sparks of metal and flashes of light that filled the room before are now replaced by orange and red strobes emitting from the ceiling and walls. The chit-chat quickly turns to a menacing, ominous silence that could be cut with a knife. Nothing could prepare even the most battle-hardened veteran for what would follow. "Harbinger, what's happening?" Bradley asks, apprehension in his voice. Harbinger, the ship's AI system, speaks throughout the ship with a heavy synthesized voice. Incoming projectile from unknown origin, approaching at high speeds, calculating trajectory, error, telemetry system malfunction. A heavy thud sounds as Bradley's fist hits the workbench. "Damn it!" he shouts in frustration. George sets the plasma cutter down, the trigger clicking as his fingers slide out from the guard. "How long until impact?" George asks, Bradley with worry in his voice. "I don't know. A few minutes tops." The room, filled with uncertainty, is quickly replaced by the shuffling of boots in nearby corridors. Thomas, Connor, Sarah, and a handful of other Maries enter the depot. The small crowd starts to murmur. "What's attacking us? Can we evade it? Is this the end?" "Deploy to your battle stations," Bradley commands forebodingly. Before anyone can act, the ship rumbles violently, plonking everyone to submission. Explosions are heard echoing throughout the ship. Harbinger addresses the crowd once more. "Main engine failure, auxiliary engine failure, diagnostics requie." Before Harbinger can finish, a large explosion erupts into the depot, hurling the crowd away from the door, slamming and crashing into surrounding scrap, now littering the floor. Bradley looks around, assessing the situation, before his vision turns to a haze. He sees his comrades unconscious and scattered about the depot. His vision slowly fades to black as the ship plummets towards the planet below.